morning and welcome to another edition of Let It Be Known, brought to you by the Bell Project, helping so many with Cash Bell. Cash Bell, a system that the Bell Project desperately wants to eliminate to level the playing field, at least the justice system for the underserved, the underprivileged, and others. They've helped over 40,000 families reunite after unjust bail conditions. Also brought to you by the March On PAC, a women led PAC that is strongly pushing for a real democracy and real strong Democratic candidates. Um, all that with the president, um, I guess, backpedaling again on really some threats that eh, I'm sure many of his top aides um, say he should never have made in the first place. But this is Donald Trump. This is what he does. He at least 2 dozen Democrats and others were citing the 25th Amendment after the president went about his business talking about annihilating, completely wiping out a country. But the president did an about face and said he's pulling back on those threats. Um, remember he said a whole civilization will die tonight and never to be brought back again if Iran failed to make a deal. Well, there was a deal, a 2-week ceasefire, um, and so it's the same type of deal. It's so interesting, and I think, of course, Reese with the receipts really put it best. The type of deal that this is all coming down to is a deal Obama had already had in place with them. and we're getting all these casualties for what? And of course, Benjamin Netanyahu's like, this ceasefire doesn't extend to Lebanon. Netanyahu's something else, isn't he? He's something else. And I'll never understand, and this is not meant to be an attack on anybody, but I will never understand the absolute hold that guy has on U.S. presidents. RG, you can explain that. I will never understand it because it's administration after administration that kowtows to Benjamin Netanyahu. And again, I'm trying to understand it. I mean, he's like the engine that makes the U.S. car run, apparently, according to our presidents, and not just this president. Now, maybe I missed the history lesson. And I didn't pay a whole lot of attention in school anyway, as you probably could tell. But I would like to know, why is it that Israel controls, Netanyahu in particular, controls when it comes to international battles, they seem to control a lot of what American presidents do. Netanyahu does anyway. Orange says, well, most of the international leaders are calling Trump a paper tiger. In the words of James Brown, talking loud ain't saying nothing. Yeah, the guy from France, really, I mean, he lit into Donald Trump with the Epstein stuff and this war with Iran. And I mean, he lit into it. Look up the French. It was a French senator. I mean, he really didn't. You talk about not holding back. And there are some people who are gonna say stuff that other people wanna say, but they are too afraid to say, "Well, this guy really, really was not afraid to say what he said." Yesterday, we had promised you, to bring you BrownMark from Prince and the Revolution. It is the 40th anniversary of the Parade album and tour, and also the 40th anniversary of Under the Cherry Moon. Well, he is going to join us this morning. We're going to, in a few moments, bring you live, BrownMark, Prince and the Revolution. Um, but in other news first, if you are a New Yorker, you know how the Son of Sam held the city hostage back in 1977. Well, the latest serial killer that we know of, Rex Howerman, known as the Gilgo Beach killer, has decided to plead guilty. He's accused of killing 7 women and dumping their bodies in Long Island's Gilgo Beach. This morning, he's expected to enter into a courtroom in New York and plead guilty. Um, and it was more than a decade after the discovery of human remains that sent shockwaves through Long Island and captivated the nation. Howerman, who is 62 years old, will be in Suffolk County Court. And it's an interesting plea deal. It's an interesting plea because it's really not a deal. Because he was set to stand trial, and the maximum sentence was life without parole. Well, according to multiple reports, the prison sentence will be life without parole on the plea. And so it's unclear as to why this man has decided to plead. Um, he was arrested in 2023, and he had maintained that he was innocent, of course. But police say that there was 11 sets of human remains that they found, many of which belonged to sex workers. They were found along a beachside parkway in Gilgo Beach, which is a small oceanfront neighborhood on the southern shore of Long Island. Some might remember Rex Howerman's dramatic arrest. It was caught on surveillance. He was in Manhattan, Midtown Manhattan, in an office building, and all of a sudden he was surrounded by several law enforcement agencies wearing dark suits. And I always found it interesting with this guy. His wife, Asa Ellerup is her name. Police say that they discovered that every time he went out and killed a woman, his wife was out of town every single time. And I'm not implicating her. I'm not saying it's just so we're talking. This went on for a couple of decades, and you had all these murders, and authorities say she was out of town. In fact, she was out of town when apparently when he was arrested, which is which is interesting. But he's going to plead. Reportedly, is going to plead guilty this morning and accept a sentence that he would have gotten had a jury found him guilty. Life without the possibility of parole. I wonder what else. You got to wonder what else is in that deal. What else happened there? I mean, it's good that they don't have to spend taxpayers' money on a trial, but this is a real rare thing. You got somebody who is pleading who had maintained his innocence. I mean, we knew he wasn't innocent. Many are not innocent. But now, without any gifts, without any parting gifts, you know, maybe life with the possibility of parole after like 90 years or something like that. I mean, look, got to be glad that this guy is never going to see the light of day again. And at 62, I mean, look, a 20-year sentence, 25-year sentence probably would have done it. But hey, good for the prosecutors there and good for folks there on Long Island. Kanye West. we Kanye, the controversial wireless festival in the UK has been canceled. Yep. The UK has denied Kanye entry into the country due to his what they call anti-Semitic hate speech over the past few years. In a statement, they said the Home Office has withdrawn Kanye's ETA entrance, deny him entry into the United Kingdom. As a result, Wireless Festival is canceled and refunds will be issued to all ticket holders. The Wireless Festival has been enmeshed in controversy ever since Kanye was announced as his headliner, with the Prime Minister being at the forefront, voicing disapproval immediately after they announced that Kanye would headline that festival. Kanye, of course, did make a bid the other day to smooth things over, offering to meet with Jewish leaders in the UK. They said no. The UK said no anyway. I don't know what the response was from the Jewish community, but they say no. Kanye is persona non grata. It's not happening. So back to the drawing board for Kanye and Kanye fans who wanted to see him perform at this festival. RG, I know that that saying about 5 cans short. Oh gosh, Kanye should have shown them his picture of the white Lives Matter shirt. Yeah. Kanye, to some, he's just too far gone at this point. Somebody mentioned to me in a message on social media about his genius, and I got to be honest with you, I've never followed his music, and so I hear this talk about him being this musical genius, and it's like, okay, I don't feel like I'm missing anything. It's so funny because I saw him perform way back. I want to say it was like 2008, 2009, maybe 2008, 2009 in Scranton, Pennsylvania, Wilkes-Barre, really. And I think Chris Brown and Rihanna was actually on that bill too. They performed. She was the performer. Chris Brown had joined her on that, and it was a few others at that concert. And I just remember the song with Jamie Foxx. And that's, I don't know nothing about his music. I mean, I just hear everybody talk about it. I'm just not interested. Just not interested in Kanye. It's just me. Not interested. Did you guys see what happened in California at a CarMax a couple of weeks ago? An incredible sight. Check this out. It unfolded there. This guy. There was an apparent dispute over the appraisal of the car. And He flipped out totally. I want what the appraisal looks like now. People have lost their minds today. I guess, the stress, but you saw what he did. He drove right through CarMax, tore it apart. Eight people were hurt, one of whom was paralyzed. Two of the victims, a father daughter tandem, Michael and Michaela Washington, are now suing the suspect, Andrew Jesus Arroyo, and they're suing CarMax for the physical and emotional damage they say they suffered as a result of this. And last week, prosecutors charged Arroyo with 12 criminal counts, including attempted murder, assault with a deadly weapon in the vehicle, vandalism, and hit and run, resulting in injury to another person. Several of the charges against him have enhancements for causing great bodily harm. So his temper tantrum is going to cost him probably about 25 years in prison. Representatives for CarMax said that we can't talk about this right now. But the father and daughter team said that they witnessed an employee push him during an argument, which led to a physical altercation. Then they alleged that other employees rushed toward Arroyo, causing him to become even more agitated and volatile, and chased him out of the store, where he jumped on a car and hopped the fence. They say it's a quote from their lawsuit, after this very serious verbal and physical altercation, CarMax employees did not call the police or 911. In addition, there was no security personnel present at the store, they said. Now, CarMax had previously provided a statement saying that Arroyo was in the store discussing an appraisal for his vehicle. He then went outside and viewed the inventory, got agitated, returned, and became erratic. Employees say that those who interacted with him said he did not complain about the offer that was being made, and even spent time looking at CarMax's inventory for a potential purchase. They say he suddenly turned erratic. He waved a metal water bottle, then ran outside and jumped on the roof of a car. After this rampage, he drove away from the showroom, which was on La Cienega Boulevard, and turned himself into police. This guy, he just totally melt down like that. He totally melt down. I got to go back to what Orangey said about Kanye. He says, if Kanye is a musical genius, why did he make a song about a gold digger and turn around and marry a gold digger? Kim Kardashian didn't have to put a curse on that Looney Tune. OMG. I mean, oh gosh. It's true. It's true, right? Oh, I, look, it beats the heck out of me why anybody. I mean, he's got this woman now, Bianca, right? And he, hey, they say she's supposed to be like a lot like Kim Kardashian, which is supposedly why he went after her. And a lot of people say that, he controls her like a toy or something. a puppet. And I don't, I don't get it. I don't get it, folks. I don't get it. I also don't get this guy melting down the way he melted down with the car. Folks are just, it's the stress. Is it the stress? I know with this current craziness that goes on, the stress is something else. And speaking of stress, how about this, folks? About nonprofits. There's a new report on nonprofits, and it's not good. After billions of dollars in pledges, and we knew this was going to happen, flowed to Black communities following the 2020 murder of George Floyd, Black-led nonprofits are now reporting that they are being told to remove references to race from their work or risk losing funding. According to a new report documenting mounting pressure across the philanthropic market, the report is called Holding the Line, Black-led Nonprofits and Race Explicit Work Amid Backlash is the name of the report. And it found that 77, almost 77% of Black-led nonprofits explicitly mention race in at least one part of their public messaging, compared with 44% of white-led nonprofits and just 0.1% that do so across all materials. Researchers noted that the gap is even sharper in mission statements, where 41% of Black-led organizations reference race compared to 3.1% of white-led groups. But the problem lies in the fact that in this 35-page report, that Black nonprofits found that 31.1% of Black-led organizations have discussed the Supreme Court's 2023 decision limiting race-based college admissions, compared with fewer than 5% of white-led nonprofits. As legal and political actions targeting diversity initiatives continue to affect how organizations present their work. So what we're seeing, obviously, and I said it, and you guys have heard me, those who watch all the time have heard me say that when the situation was going on, that so-called reckoning in 2020 after the murder of George Floyd, you heard me say, even then, those who were watching back then heard me say, you know what? You better get some signed deals, some long-term 10-year commitments in writing from these from corporate America, because this is not going to stay this way. You know, you had the global march, Black Lives Matter, et cetera, et cetera. And people, and I remember, look, and this is not throwing shade at them, but I remember Dr. Ben Chavis. I told him, I said, Doc, you got to get these folks to sign deals, long-term deals. Oh, no. Things have changed now. They've changed. It's not going back to where it was. Where we at now? We got a president that wants to take us back to Reconstruction at least. You got a president that came in and made everybody, all these companies, afraid of doing business with minority-owned companies and businesses. The media industry, we are just hanging on by a thread. And then, you know, we say black press, and that turns off this MAGA generation and scares people like Target and, you know, companies like Target and Walmart. You know, I know I wasn't the only one. I know I wasn't the only one. But I kept saying it. This is not sustainable. Yes, you got these marches. You have white folks. You have all types of folks across the world saying, yes, Black Lives Matter. It's nice to hear. It's nice to see that everybody agrees that black folks and no folks, white folks, Hispanic folks, nobody should be just randomly profiled and gunned down by police. But like many things with this United States of America, they tickle your ears. They love to tickle your ears, dangle the carrot. And thus you get all this, oh, we're boycotting Target. We're doing this. We're doing that. Why would it have to be come to this after you had your opening way back in 2020? Ah, anyway, that's the way it goes, right, y'all? That is the way it goes. Now, y'all know that the favorite, I don't care if 50,000 of you are watching or 500 of you are watching. You all know what my favorite subject is. And it's not math or English. It's not politics. Yeah, you can use one word to talk about my favorite topic. One word. I know Dr. Nicole is watching, and she'll tell you in a heartbeat what that one word is. I'm going to show you what that is. Yes. Yes. There it is. It is Prince. And it's the 40th anniversary of one of my favorite albums. Just about every tour since 1999. 1999 tour. And no question that the Parade Tour has to be among the best. And speaking of among the best, born to the name Mark Brown in the Bronx, folks, New York. Funk rocker BrownMark is forever a son of Minneapolis, though. He's a working musician since high school. At age 19, he was rehearsing with his band Fantasy when he was cold called by none other than Prince to audition for his band in the summer of 1981. Brown joined the band that would soon be called The Revolution, the best band Prince ever put together. There's been several incarnations of the MPG, but I'm telling you, if you know anything about Prince, if you know anything about the sound of Minneapolis, The Revolution nailed it and nailed it perfectly. There is no Prince superstar without The Revolution, in my opinion. He was re-christened by Prince as BrownMark, and he is currently playing bass on a global healing and celebration tour with The Revolution in the memory of Prince. But he continues to build on his own musical career that predated Prince. And look, the guy is as talented as they come, and I'm not gonna belabor the point. I'm just gonna bring him on. The one and only BrownMark joins Let It Be Known. It is great to see you again.
Hey, you too, man. Nice to see you. It's been a while.
It's been a while, but
Yeah.
listen, I know I'm already into in my bag about the Parade album. I know 40 years, but first and foremost, I want you, before I forget, this is why I say first and foremost. You told me this story, and I've retold this story when you were on before. You told me about, I think it was your daughter or your children anyway. You didn't know your relationship with Prince until they saw an album cover one day at school. Tell that story again, if you will.
As my two sons.
Two sons, okay.
Yeah, I got two boys, and they're men now. But yeah, when they were young and started this new school, don't even ask me what year it was, but some kid brought an album in, and they looked at the album and they saw my face on there, and they were like, "Wait a minute, that's my dad." And all the kids were like tripping. They're like, "No way, get out of here! That ain't your dad." He said, "That's my dad." And they look at Miguel, my youngest son. He looks just like me, and they, that's when they were convinced. And then they came home from school that day, and I mean, they grilled me nonstop, and I had to reveal it to them, what my past was and what I was doing. They had no clue to the extent that I did music. They just didn't know. Yeah.
Well, it's like I said then, it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't know my uncle was Prince.
Exactly.
Oh man, Mark, it's the 40th anniversary of the Parade album. What everybody thinks when they think about Parade album, they think about, of course, Kiss. But is there a favorite on that album? And what was it like creating that album? I know that you guys like were creating music. You never slept. But what was it
Yeah.
like creating this particular album?
It was a lot like Purple Rain. Not a big difference. Purple Rain album, before Wendy got in, we had Dez. And
Mhm.
so what Prince would do is he wanted something new. He wanted to take this in a different direction, because before Purple Rain, it was just Prince. And then there was no name of the group. A lot of people think the Revolution goes way back from the beginning of Prince, but it doesn't. Revolution did not start until 1983. And when Dez left the band, he brought in Wendy. And Lisa brought in Wendy, and she auditioned, and Prince loved her, and the rest was history. But that's when we took on the name The Revolution. And what he started doing is, for the first time, letting us write with him. Before then, he just gave us, a cassette and said, "Here, learn this." But now the music was changing. He wanted a different direction, and he started opening up to us. And that's where the Revolution came from. A lot of bands cannot recreate it because we were the creators of it. And so, like, I know for me alone, I play a rumble bass style, which nobody's ever heard of. I kind of feel like Larry Graham created it, if you ask me, but I kind of took it to another level. And that became part of the Revolution's bottom end. That was the sound on the bottom. Wendy and Lisa, they have this really interesting way of voicing chords. Wendy's hands are stretched like this when she's playing. And so between Lisa and Wendy, very unique sound between the two of them. And then the unique sound on the bottom, and then Doctor, he just does surgery on the keyboards all the time. We became this force to be reckoned with. And then by Parade album, oh man, we understood who we were and what we were doing. And so we approached that album in a much more aggressive way, much more freedom, way more creative than Purple Rain.
Yeah, because a lot of folks may not know that, even Sign of the Times, you guys had the Revolution had a part in that too, right?
Yeah, we recorded albums about a year to a year and a half before they were released. So we were already working on Sign of the Times while we were tightening up Parade. And then of course there was the Black album. See, a lot of people don't even know that one. So we were doing a lot of work, a lot of writing, and we became part of this entity where it was no longer Prince. It was Prince and the Revolution.
Right.
If you look at the album covers, they say Prince and the Revolution, written, produced by Prince and the Revolution. A lot of people forget about us, and they just say, "Hey, Prince wrote this." I don't really care, but it's nice to be recognized for what you did, the contribution that you made in such a historical, life-changing movement that we created. The Revolution was a revolution in music. We broke many different barriers. I mean, you talk about LGBTQ, you talk about Black and white, race relations in America. I mean, we broke a lot of barriers, and so I'm proud to be a part of that.
And again, it wasn't a small contribution. You guys were very integral to all of that music.
Oh yeah, we were we were that music. I mean, that's why the other bands had different sounds. I get kind of irritated when I hear some fans will write. I'm very active on social media, and they'll
Yes.
write and they'll say, yeah, Prince was moving on. He was looking for better musicians. I was like, get out of here with that. Go sit down, soak your head. That's some bull if I ever heard of it. And
Right.
the real truth is, it was a different, my book tells that story, but it was a different situation that made the revolution kind of disband. But we were the band. It was Prince and the Revolution. It was not Prince. And he was trying to make that very clear when we went out. And but then in the future, it kind of changed because the dynamics changed, and I had this band, I had left the band, and so that changed a lot of things with the direction. And that's when he started to lean more towards the MPG for his new outlet. And that was a concept in his mind that he talked to me about way back as far as 80, was it 80, late 85 into 86. Wow. He talked to me about MPG.
What, everybody, I'm sure you've heard this question a whole lot, and people still want to know, working with him, we hear so much. I never got a chance to meet Prince personally, but we always heard, and I knew folks who was really close at a time with him, who would go out to his shows and then go to his home afterwards, and he'd jam. He was tirelessly worked constantly. What was that like for all you guys to work with him? For you personally, to work with somebody who was just nonstop at music?
I know for me, I can't really speak for them, but for me, I'm a driver. I always have been since I was a kid. And I had my own band, Fantasy, and I was just learning how to do things. He's about 4 years in front of me. And so he had a lot more experience than I did. So when I came in the band, he was just driving. And I was like, yeah, this is my thing. This is what I like. So for me, it was it was like crash course in a doctor's degree on music because, he made my advancements 4 or 5 years ahead of where I was. And because I was like a sponge, he called me a sponge because he said, you soak up everything, I can't even say anything around you because you're going to soak it up. And that's right. Hairstyles, clothes, high heel boots. You name it, I eat up everything that he had to offer. And then I would make my own way out of that. I became myself. And it took me a minute, but I developed my own personality, my own, I like to say character, because we were like Star Wars. We all, had a character.
So you got accustomed to just jamming all night, because you go to a concerts no more than 2 hours for most people. And then, like, for instance, the night he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2001, not 2000, I forget, 2001 maybe, 2004, not 2001, 2004. And I went to a show of his that they threw at Club Black in New York. He came on the stage, and I'm telling you, it was like 2:30 in the morning, and left the stage at about 6:30 in the morning. And you just say, gosh, I'm looking at the band behind him. Obviously, it's not the Revolution, but I'm saying, how do you keep up with that pace?
Yeah, it was normal. He had a bat phone. I called it the bat phone. Yeah, and I dreaded. I'm telling you, I would be working in the studio. We would go 2 and 3 days, no sleep, go to the club. We would take whatever our creation was down to First Avenue, and the DJs knew us, so they would play our stuff, and we could get a really good idea of how the crowd would respond to the music. They wouldn't say who it is or anything. They would just blend it in. So, we'd be up 2 and 3 days working on something, And then finally I get that sleep, 3, 4 in the morning. Ding, here he goes, you know. And it was never him. It was always big chick, Mark,
Oh, okay.
down at the studio now. I was like, no, man, I'm asleep. He said, Mark, you know what's going to happen? If you don't show up, he's going to knock at your door. He's going to send me to get you. I was like, dang it, you know, click, you know, and I'd have to get dressed. And, you know, you can't just get dressed. You know, you live in a different world now. So, you know, you got to do the, you know, you got to be clean head to toe. You can't go around Prince looking like a ragamuffin. So he didn't accept that. Yeah. And so you get all dressed up and it's like going to a concert and it'd be 3, 4 in the morning. Like, what are we doing, man? He says, man, I got this idea and we're just going to jam on it for a little while. Man, we would be jamming sometimes for 10, 11, 12 hours. I'd be in the lunchroom eating a sandwich, making a sandwich and eating and playing with one hand. That's how tired it was, just nonstop. Dude was an alien. He was an alien.
Oh gosh. And so I
you know what we're gonna do, and he would kind of show some thanks towards, you know, where we've come, and then we would go out there and we do our thing. Now after the concert, it's a different story. Everybody's trying to get backstage, and so but not a lot was going on back there. You know, I'm telling you now, you got groups like The Time. Maserati, I'm gonna tell you, backstage was an experience. I was running from the backstage because these guys, you know, I remember Maserati, they were a bunch of animals. so, you know, after the concert was a bigger party than the concert itself, you know, but with Prince, it was pretty mellow. He was very selective about who he would allow to come see him backstage. I shared a dressing room with Matt and Bobby, and so their wives were always there. So there was never anything wild happening in our dressing room, and then Wendy and Lisa, never anything wild going on there. So our backstage was pretty boring, other than the fact that, you know, a lot of press, a lot of friends, or very seldom would they let fans come back unless we were doing a meet and greet, which was rare. We hardly ever did those.
Yeah, so I heard about we had Jerome Benton on once a couple of years ago, and he would talk about Morris and The Time, and particularly Morris, of course.
Crazy.
Yeah,
them dudes are fun.
Lots of fun, huh? No sleep.
Yeah.
The parade, back to the Parade album, though. You know, obviously, big hits. I saw you on your social media playing Mountains.
Oh, okay.
And I just thought, wow. I mean, it was amazing to me. And tell me, is that one of your favorites to play?
No. I've always liked Mountains. And, you know, I have a team that works behind me. It's not just me. And so they'll recommend things, and they're the ones that plan these things out, and they say, okay, we think you should do this. And so that's kind of where I get my ideas from. And Mountains was one of those songs where I never had any kind of a tutorial or anything where they could just pull up videos and show them. I needed to create a new video. And I was like, okay, give me a couple of days. I could find some time and put this together. And so I started playing it, and I said, I'm gonna change the bass line. And so I changed the bass line basically because I wanted it to be a little funkier. And I don't play the record and take my bass and play with the record. I recreate the whole thing. I mean, I'm a writer, so I mean, I don't need to copy or not copy. I don't need to play karaoke with the bass or anything. I just create my own version. Right. And so that's what I did. It only took me about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And I had a little 30-second piece. I said, okay, this is it. And I sent it to him. I filmed myself while I'm doing it. And so I put a little clip together, sent it to the guys. They were like, "Oh man, this is it. This is it. We're releasing this next week." And I was like, "Okay." And I got Kiss. I
Mhm.
everybody was requesting, "What's Kiss with a bass line? What does that sound like?" Well, I'm sending it to you because stay tuned. Facebook is. I put the bass back in to show people what it sounded like before it was taken out.
Okay.
So
Nice. Wow. You guys were all in France for Under the Cherry Moon.
yeah,
What was that experience like? I mean, you wasn't featured in this movie. You were featured in Purple Rain, obviously, but you wasn't featured in this movie. But what was that experience like? Because I know that you did mountains, and you did a lot of work over there.
um, it's funny. There's such a huge backstory to all of this. I won't get too much into it. I am releasing another book after the rain.
Oh, all right, nice.
you know, my relationship with Prince is like brother to brother. He's my
Hmm.
big brother. I have a younger brother. I used to beat him up all the time. So this was payback, and
Hmm.
Prince really, me and him had a very volatile relationship because we're
I
both
recall you telling me that.
we're both alphas, and so we were always like this, and but in a good way. He respected me to the utmost because I stood up for myself, and so when it comes to um, I forgot what I was. What,
We were talking about going. What happened in France?
yeah,
Oh, no.
France. Okay. Yeah, hey, that's called medication. Gives me that foggy brain. Yeah, so the bigger backstory, to make a long story short, when we were in France, he left me there for I believe almost 2 months
Oh,
because I just signed Maserati to Paisley, and guess what his plans were. So
wow.
he had to get me out of the way. So that's the kind of stuff he would do. And so I'm over there. And then I wasn't even in the movie. I'm like, what am I doing here? I mean, you got me throwing my coat jacket. You got finger waves in my hair, and I throw my jacket over my back, and I
Oh,
walk
wait,
in
you
the
got
room.
dressed for it too?
Yeah, and
Wow.
that's how it is. And Purple Rain too. I mean, all my lines got cut out. I wasn't, you know, I
But at
he
least you were in Purple Rain.
when he would get mad at me, he would just start stripping things back, taking things away. That's how it worked. And I'll be
Wow.
like, so I don't care, man. I'm my own person. I will find my own way, dude. You
Yeah.
can strip me from as much as you want, but I'm gonna still do what I do. And so Nice, France was a lot of fun, except I was bored all the time because going on the set boring, um, hanging around all day boring, couldn't speak French boring. I'd be on the Riviera boring. I mean, not to say Nice and the Riviera is boring, but I just got after a couple of weeks of that, you're already jet lagged. Everything
Mm.
shuts down 7, 8 o'clock, you know, and for me, it's like, wow, okay, now what do I do for the next five
Right.
hours before I go to bed? So I was pretty bored there. And then they all pack up and leave. And he's like, we need you to stay here and do interviews.
Oh, wow.
I didn't do a
Wow.
single interview. I was there for all them weeks, didn't do a single interview. Finally, I just hopped on a plane. I said, I'm out of here.
Yeah. Well, obviously 10 years ago, man, time flies, Mark. It flies. But 10 years ago, we did lose the great Prince. Shocking to just about everybody.
Yeah.
Can you, without, I mean, I know you got a book coming up, so I know you don't want to say too much, but can you give us a little taste of the last conversation you had with Prince?
Wow. So, like I said, our lives were always a bit volatile. Um, but one time, So he had a janitor. His janitor's name was Jim Lundstrom. Jim was a friend of mine. Prince didn't know that. He didn't know we were friends because I was living in California at the time. And when Prince gets close to somebody, you become almost like a steward to him. You know, it's like you hold his wallet, his money. You go ahead of him and you handle things. That's how he rolled. And so that's what Jim became. The janitor becomes, this person that kind of looks after him. They were on the plane on their way to LA once, and he started talking about me. Jim called me immediately. He says, Mark, he says, I have a feeling that he's going to get in touch with you because he won't stop talking about you. And I was like, well, talking about what? And he said he feels bad. He feels bad for a lot of the way he treated you and a lot of the things that he did. And he wants to make it right. He said, I know it, because you should hear him. And so he gave me some examples of some of the conversations. Next thing I know, probably about maybe a month later, I get a phone call. Hey, Mark, what you doing? What do you think I'm doing? Talking to you, knucklehead, And so he says, I want you to fly to Minneapolis, putting some things together. I want to see if you want to be involved. Flew me out there 3 different times. And then he moved me to Minneapolis. Mind you, I had my own business and everything happening in California. I dropped everything because, I'm always down for some music. And I went to Minneapolis, and he forgot that he brought me there.
Oh, gosh.
Now, I was sitting, I didn't have a place yet. So I was sitting in a hotel for like 3 weeks. And he forgot. And I ran into John Blackwell now, rest in peace. He's passed now too, the drummer. And I ran into him in the lobby, and he goes, BrownMark, what are you doing here? I was like, what? What do you mean, what am I doing here? We're supposed to be doing stuff. And I said, I don't have a bat number. I don't know how to get a hold of dude. I've been sitting here. I don't know what's going on. And John Blackwell says, oh, wow, you can see the stunned face on him.
Hey.
He says, let me call him. He called the bat phone. He said, hey, BrownMark's sitting here in the lobby. He goes, what? He says, what's he doing there? Oh, you brought him here? And he goes,
my gosh.
Oh, I forgot. Okay, bring him. Bring him to Paisley. So I get to Paisley, and it was so funny because that's when I knew, it's not funny, but I knew something was wrong.
Ironic, yeah.
Something was not right with his memory and his behavior. But after everybody left, we got into this conversation, and he started talking about Paisley and talking about all the work we had done. And he said, this is your place too. And I was like, well, give me the keys. It was my place.
That's what I would have said.
I can throw a party in this joint, But, he starts laughing, but he says, no, I'm for real. This, you helped me build this. If it wasn't for you guys, none of this would be a reality. I said, that's cool. So what do you want to do now? I mean, what's going on? He says, trying to put together another group, you, John, Morris Hayes, and, the work. And he says, you got that revolution feel. He said that bottom end, I want it to rumble like we used to. And I said, okay, I'm down. And long story short, I flew back, sat around for like 6 months or something. I was like, is this dude going to call? He probably forgot that we had the conversation.
But at that point, you didn't get the bat number?
No. No, he was very private at that point. And then he called me, Takumi called me, one of his techs, tech managers. He called me and he says, they're gearing up for rehearsal. He wants you back here now. I was like, dang. So I had to pack up the truck and everything, and I moved to Minneapolis. and sat there for 3, 4 months. Didn't hear a peep from him. And then I heard he was throwing a party at Paisley. I went to Paisley, and I walked in, and he's filming a video. I was like, dude. And he saw me, and you could see the panic in his face because you could see he just remembered what he had done. Oh, man, wait a minute. I moved him here. I knew something was wrong. I just didn't know what. But his memory was like really, really shot at that point. And so, again, long story, because it's a long story. But to make it long story short, he told me the project he was working on ain't going to happen. He's putting together this Third Eye Girl thing. And he's going to take that out. And I didn't even flinch. I was just like, moved me 2,000 miles away, brought me out here on my own dime. He didn't pay me a penny. And this is the end result. But this is what I was used to all the time. And so I kind of just act like it didn't happen. And we had a friendly conversation, and I just let him know, because I knew something was wrong. And I just let him know, man, we're cool. I said, look, I'm going to go on back home. And when you get back, man, maybe we could figure something out and blah, blah, blah. That's the last I heard from him. That was it.
Around what year was that?
Gosh, man.
How long before he passed?
Oh, about a year.
Oh, wow.
About a year.
So the memory part, I've never heard anyone else mention anything like that. And obviously you had those experiences with him. Could that have been part of his downfall, or something that perhaps people around him missed that this was going on?
I'll tell you this. I don't know if you know, I got sick 3 years ago. Oh, okay. I was deathly ill. I was 48 hours from death. And
gosh, Mark.
Yeah. Back in 2022. Yeah, I got deathly ill. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, and they found the problem, fixed it, but I've been on medication ever since. I'll be on medication for the rest of my life. My memory is shot. That's why, as you realized yesterday when I didn't show up, this boy's memory's gone. Because if I don't write stuff down or set an alarm, it's gone.
And I was like, who sets the alarm for 7 p.m.?
Hey,
BrownMark.
Exactly. I don't wake up till 11. But what it is the medication. Man, it just clouds your memory. And I think that's what was happening with him, because he was heavily relying upon opioids for his pain, for his hip. Yeah. So Prince is very, come on, we all know this, very, very together, very in control of his world. He ain't gonna let nobody see him sweat. He's not gonna let you know he's in pain. He's not gonna talk about it. He's not gonna tell anybody. I'm a very observant person, and I saw it immediately. I said, something not right there. And sure enough, after he passed, and then the investigators got all in there, fentanyl. There you go. And I went to the hospital. I refused fentanyl. I said, nope, you're gonna have to find something else. I'm not taking that stuff.
Yeah. Gosh, you look, you knew him as well as anybody, and so to see that, I'm pretty sure it had to be extremely alarming. Given everything you've gone through with him, and being so close. Let's before I let you go, I know you got other things you got to do, but Jerome Benton, like I said, we had him on, and a couple of times we've had him on, and he's talked about a sequel to Purple Rain, and a lot of folks had always thought Graffiti Bridge was, and the way he broke it down, I understood, and the way I watched Graffiti Bridge, I understood it's not really a sequel to Purple Rain. Was there ever real discussions of a Purple Rain Part 2?
No, never. Okay. As a matter of fact, you won't hear a lot of people talk. I had a different relationship than he did with a lot of people. And I don't know if it's because maybe he and I grew up in uh, similar circumstances, same religion, we had a lot of similarities. And so, he talked a little differently with me. He hated Purple Rain. I'm serious. I couldn't stand it. And I've been very
a movie, not the music, but the movie.
Yeah, the movie.
Yeah.
And it was a shock to all of us that it did what it did. It was a shock. He was very surprised and very happy, of course, because it put him in the stratosphere. But never, ever have I heard him discuss a part two. Never. He discussed Under the Cherry Moon. That was something he talked about. And then
it's interesting because he dies in Under the Cherry Moon.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of ironic. Yeah, he talked about that. And then Graffiti Bridge, it was very interesting concept there because, a lot of people won't put this together either, but that was Maserati's whole stage look.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, when they showcased, he didn't know it was my band, and I showcased them at First Avenue. I was called The Shadow, and we had the street lights, signs, stop signs, garbage cans. It was an alleyway. That was our stage. He comes out with this graffiti bridge. I was like, man, what you doing, man? I was like, that's
but Mark, stage. But obviously, that there's still a lot of people who believe Maserati was something that he put together.
Nah, yeah, not even he. That part of the problem with he and I and Purple Rain, my departure, that was one of the things. It's like he sent me away so that I couldn't be around him, and then he tried to manipulate them. They were too loyal to me, though. They were too loyal. It's like I put them together from nothing. When I say nothing, I mean some of them didn't even play. I mean, we built that from the ground up, and over a 4-year period. And they weren't just going to let him come in and just walk, snatch and walk away.
Right.
And so it created a huge rift because they weren't a threat, but it wasn't his. And so he didn't like that. He didn't like that. And when I signed to Paisley, it was because he asked me to. We had a deal at Warner Brothers, and he said, man, that's the problem with us brothers is we don't stick together. I was like, yeah, that's right. We don't stick together. Purple Rain, you still owe me what, $1.5 million? Okay, I still ain't got paid. I said, we don't.
Isn't it convenient when we say stuff like that? We brothers need to stick together, and then we go off and do.
Yeah. And so, but anyways, I said, okay, I'm gonna bring him over to Paisley. I brought him over to Paisley, and this is what he does. And I was just like, wow, okay. And I come back from Europe, man, the group was in shambles. I mean, they were in shambles. They was on the road, broke, no money. I had pumped $500,000 into them. They were broke, and I couldn't sustain them. But that's just, that's how the story rolls. I mean, I just keep going.
Mark, obviously the Michael Jackson movie comes out this month. There's a lot of buzz about that. Do you foresee, I know that there's reported problems with the Prince estate doing a Prince movie. Do you foresee a Prince movie? And if you do, what does that look like to you?
I don't foresee it. If it does happen, I mean, I know Londell's over there, pretty much running the Paisley Park. He pretty much is in charge of everything over there, from what I know. But I don't see it happening. I'm still waiting to see what happens with the play. But that's a very hard movie. That would be a very difficult movie to put together unless they get a panel of people that knew the beginnings You can't,
Right.
in my opinion, you can't do a movie about Prince in the pinnacle of his life without consulting the revolution. And
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not talking about just one member.
Hmm.
But I'm talking about putting us all on the panel, on the board, and we all piece this because we all know him differently. Like I said,
Hmm.
my relationship was totally different than Bobby, Wendy, Matt, and Lisa's. You
Right.
know, I was a brother, only black dude in the band. There was a whole different dynamic with his conversations with me in comparison. It was absolutely different. And so I can bring a whole different perspective to the picture. And
Hmm.
then each one of them, Wendy and Lisa, they have a whole different experience than me, Matt, and Bobby. Bobby was one of the first ones with him, Bobby and Matt. So all of us have very unique experiences that we can bring together to paint the picture of what happened, how it happened, and how he went like that.
Yeah. Wow.
Without us, I mean, come on, it's just storytelling. It's a bunch of people guessing, hearsay. You know, I watch a lot of stuff that's going on. I was like, that ain't how it went down. I was like, what is this? You know, and I mean, if you're going to do it right. You know, so I really can't see any kind of a movie unless they involve us in it. I just can't see it
Yeah.
unless
Yeah.
it just be fake.
So, before you go, what you mentioned a book. What else are you up to? And I know the Revolution. You guys are doing some gigs. Tell us a little bit about what is going on with BrownMark.
Well, Revolution, we've been on like a little hiatus for a minute, you know, just to let you know. I heard you say that. Probably the fans are like doing backflips, like, oh my gosh, they're on the road. No, we're not. um, as far as me, this business is broken. The music industry in this world is
Yeah,
broken,
I don't need
and
to say that again.
severely.
Mm.
Um, to a point where it's very difficult. If you're not a one percenter, if you're not spending $200,000-300,000 on promo, it is really hard to even get a single to surface,
Mm.
unless you're just fortunate. You know, I'm not saying it can't be done, but it's very difficult. So, what I've been figuring, I got a little team, and we're like a think tank, and we're figuring out ways to release my last album, and it's called Authentically Me. It's about me, who I am. You're going to hear who I am. There's nothing holding me back anymore. I'm not being guided or controlled by the pop culture. I don't care. I'm just going to put together. I've been putting together what I like to do and what I feel in music. And it's got orchestration, it's got funk, it's got little jazz pieces. And so I call it the 41st and Park Project. That's where I grew
Okay.
up. And the album is Authentically Me. I think I'm about 20, 24 songs in right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's coming along. It's coming along.
Okay.
But how I'm going to release it is very different. I can't say anything. My partners will kill me. But the way I'm going to release it is very, very different. It's going to be very Purple fan based, very Purple fan exclusive. I don't plan on charging for the album.
Oh,
Going
okay.
to be free. See, I figured, I learned that if you can't beat the system, can't buck the system, you got to figure out a new system. And
Hmm.
so I've been working on a whole different approach to this game. And if it works, then you'll see other albums. If it doesn't, hey, it's nice knowing y'all. Because I'm tired, man. I'm tired. I've been doing this since I was, gosh, 12, 13 years old. Yeah.
Wow. That's
I'm
that. Yeah,
retired,
that's a
man.
long time, Mark.
Yeah, I'm a
Well,
retiree.
we are certainly going to know when we get some new music from Brown Mark because I know personally I'm all over your page. So I be checking stuff out all the time, and I'm looking forward to seeing that Kiss that you talked about, and certainly Mountains. I was like, wow, this is nice. So looking
Yeah,
forward
it's
to
gonna be
more from.
funky. All the old heads are gonna be in for a surprise.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funky album.
Lovely. Well, Public Enemy last year did what you're talking about too. They put out new music free.
Okay.
And Chuck, a friend of the show, he's on a lot. In fact, he wanted to come on when I told him you were coming on, but
Oh
he's out
wow.
west, and yeah, we were gonna do a nice little surprise for you, but somebody set their alarm for 7 p.m. instead of 7.
Ah!
But
You
I
ain't
will
gonna let
let
me do that one down.
yeah, I'll let Chuck know that we got to get you guys together again, and get
Absolutely.
that would be pretty awesome because he was hyped about it too. He's
Yeah,
like,
man.
yeah, that
Big
that
fan.
sounds like fun. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but nonetheless, I'm looking forward to stuff from you, whether it's just you solo, you with the Revolution again. I enjoy the bass. I enjoy the way you play it, and I appreciate you taking out the time for the Black Press. Let it be known.
Yeah, and man, I just want to say this before I go. Let all the fans know, and we have to support one another,
Yes.
or it will fade. I've watched music from the time I started, and it was our culture. You look at pop culture today; it's what we brought to the table, and they're taking it, regurgitating it, and
Yep.
coming out with their own thing. But we know the origins of it, and
Yeah.
so we have to support one another and get back to supporting one another instead of saying, yeah, well, that ain't hip hop. Come on.
Yeah.
We come from a broad expanse of music, many
Yeah.
genres of music, and we need to support all of it. We
Yeah.
need to teach our kids to do the same. This industry, I'm afraid of the future if we don't start making some serious changes now.
Mm.
This system trying to break us to pieces.
And as I think it's so important you say that because again, as you underscored, you've been in this business. You was 12 years old, 13 years old. So look, we're hearing it from somebody who's been in this business at the highest of levels too. So uh,
Absolutely.
we appreciate that, Mark, a whole lot. Always a fan. I try to keep the journalism hat on, but it's hard to when you come on. And so I appreciate it. I'll be on your page checking you out, and
I
folks,
appreciate it.
check him out on Facebook. I think Facebook is where you primarily are, right?
Well, Facebook and Instagram. Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay.
Instagram is BrownMark Nation. Both of them are BrownMark Nation, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. Brown Mark Nation. There you go,
Mhm.
folks. Mark, thanks again, and all the success in the world to you. And hopefully we'll get a chance to talk again soon.
Oh man, thank you. Invite me back. I'll come on anytime.
Absolutely. And thank you all for the 40th anniversary of Prince and the Revolution's Parade album tour and one of my favorite films, Under the Cherry Moon. Regardless of what anybody thinks of Under the Cherry Moon, I would love to have seen Brown Mark in those finger waves.
All
Y'all take it easy.
right.
Thanks.
Let's go! Let's go, Flav. Hey!